And we are going to go, thank you, Tabs, for recording. We are going to go deeper into the tooling and the process that we're going to be sort of taking on together during the hackathon time, which is going to be from the 1st of November to the 15th of December. Can you pass the page, the slide, Tabs? This is a little bit what we're going to be doing today, and we encourage everyone that has a question or everyone that wants to sort of bring something in, any doubts, any clarifications, anything in. This is a learning space, especially. We are sort of nurturing this space with all of you, and this is really important to know. So there's still a lot of things that we need to work out together. And this is a place to do all of that. Today we have a quite packed agenda, and hopefully it's going to be sort of instead of like a monologue, what we had last time, it's going to be much more of a sharing and bringing on a little bit of what you're doing in your own places. The agenda has this welcome part, which is the beginning. I am starting it. And we're going to go and revisit the learning process that we saw last time. And why are we going to do that? Is because we're going to weave it to the tools that will allow us to develop that in our own time as we're doing the hackathons in the hubs with the participants. So we're going to do that at the beginning, and then we're going to go to a breakout room and we're going to tap into something that is really strong, which is narratives, stories that we have in our lives, in our experiences. And with those stories, we're going to bring that experience to sort of explain a little bit how the tooling and the sort of the process that we're going to be working on in the hackathons are going to be like. So we're going to go through the publishing stack. Why the publishing stack? So the purpose of why we are doing the things the way that we are doing, and then how it works, the visibility, the impact, and the custom integrations. And we have, and you're going to meet afterwards, we have a member of Prisma today that is called Carlos, and he's going to be part of this explanation, which hopefully is going to be very, very powerful. Then, after the explanation of the beginning, the intro of the publishing stack, we are going to go to deployment and publishing demo. We're going to speak a little bit about accessing all the tools and tech that you need in order to create this publication from the very beginning to the end of the hackathons. After that, we have Q&A, which is very, very important. This is open. This is hopefully any clarification, any doubts, anything that you want to bring it over there. Even if you think that your question is not as important or someone has asked that question and it wasn't clear to you, bring it again. And after that, we have breakout rooms too, which is going to be about sort of encouraging every hub, every participant to start publishing, to start speaking about their own narrative. And then next steps, which means we have another enrollment call that is going to be next Thursday at the same time. And that's going to be the sort of the end, the third enrollment call and the end of the process. That's where we're going to say by the end of that process is you have everything you need. Now we're going to sort of only accompany you through this process, but you have all the information that you need in order to develop your own hackathons, publish your own things, and bring your own projects to life. Good? So let's start through the beginning, and let's start with the learning process again. Tabs, can you pass the slide for me? Thank you. Before we start with the learning process, I want to sort of refresh the idea of why the enrollment is such an important moment in this sort of in coming to the summit in Nairobi. First one is to learn how to participate in a self-organizing hackathon. What we are doing step by step, what we are doing now is for you to take home and do it with your own community, do it with your own participants. And this is really important because it's going to be self-organizing. We don't fully know the times and the rhythms of your own process. So you're going to be the leads and the agents and even the authors of your own hackathons. This is really important. It will have your own essence and not ours. We're just going to be there for the ride. We're just going to be there to make a little bit deeper the questions that we are holding, or even sort of go with you through the tooling that we are offering. The second bit is learning a new process for project development. This process is designed in such a way that we want to see what comes from the ground, from all of your local communities, not something that is general and universal and can be done everywhere. We want something that really speaks the truth of your own local community. And the development of a project of your own community, it has that essence, that truth, that voice that we are looking for. And the third one is to explore what enables my local community to thrive and make it a reality. I'm super excited about this third point because it's one that we have been speaking for over and over again. And it's actually this is the aim of everything that we are doing. If everything goes right, each one of these local communities will be enabling a potential. And that means that all the region will have a potential that wasn't tapped before and now is uncovered and unfold and developed because you are there. So that's quite a reality, quite an excitement moment. So the outcomes of the enrollment process are this. And now we're going to go through how are we going to do this together? How are we going to take the hackathons into their own living experience into our own hands? Tabs, can you pass to the next one? Thank you. Do you remember the learning arcs? And now there's a few chats. If there is any questions about the learning arcs, please just open your microphone and ask. But I'm not going to repeat the whole thing that I've said. I'm just going to say a little bit about the purpose of each. The main learning arc is that we all together sort of develop a way of seeing a local community that enables that potential, and that we can build something that is unique for that local community, that speaks to that truth, that it has its own voice. And this is really, really important. So that's the main purpose. How are we going to do this is we're going to go through one learning arc that is called sense of place, which is sort of an exploration experience. Is not only going through, oh, I do know the challenges, or I have an idea of what my local community is, but it's a little bit different. We're going to walk with new eyes, with a new capacity of understanding, with conversations with our neighbors, and try to sense and make meaning of what their challenges are, what their problems are. So we can create different problem statements, and we might not get one or two, maybe we get three even. But we can only do that if we walk our community again. If we explore, if we map it, if we understand what are the forces of that community that really bring it to life, and if we speak to our neighbors and see and understand those narratives. This is very important. So sense of place arc is the exploration bit. And the sense of place arc has a really interesting thing, which is there's a lot of doing in that moment that is quite on my own as a participant myself, and not yet as a hub, right? So there's two dimensions into this space of learning arc. We're going to be doing this learning process through a hackathon within a hub, But the sense of place arc, I'm going to be doing it by myself. And today we are going to learn a little bit about the tool that will allow me to sort of evoke or bring up that content that will happen in that community. Once I have that, then I'm going to the emergent learning process, which is a wonderful sharing, collective sharing and understanding of the information that we capture from these local communities. Is I'm going to team up. I'm going to team up with people that have a little bit or similar communities as mine. Maybe we are from the same community and we are seeing different problem statements, or maybe people that have that same interest in those themes that are coming up. The emergent learning process is about collective sharing. This is what I found in my exploration in the sense of place, and sharing it with others, so that with the data that comes up, with the insights, the meaning making of all that data, then what we can create hypotheses, we can create problem statements, we can create themes that will allow me to bring up my project. And then after this one is align action. Tabs, can you pass the slide, please? Good. So align action is the intensive part, is the doing part, right? And the goal of this arc is to bring that idea, that solution, that problem statement, all of that that came up, decide and choose one or two, if you want to choose one or two, that serves my community, but then now integrated with Cardano, integrated with the skills, the development skills of developing a project, of really bringing that idea into life so I can take it back to my community, they can try it, and I keep on iterating and improving it until it becomes a project of a lot of impact, right? So this is a little bit of the learning arcs and what we're going to be doing. Each one of these sections will have some tooling that is very important that we incorporate in order to do this in such a way that is impactful and is meaningful. And this is what we are going to start learning today. But before we do that, because and this is the trick of the enrollment process, is the idea is that you don't know yet what those solutions or problem statements are. Is that you find them when you are walking them. But then now we need to bring up the tools and speak about how we are going to sort of bring in all that information and work it as data, right? And in order to do that, we do need now an alive experience and a live narrative and a live story, because there's going to be a lot of the process that is going to be like storytelling. It's going to be showing off that story and that change and transformation that comes up because I'm doing this learning process, right? So we're going to go into breakout rooms. Tabs, can you pass the slide? And I'm going to ask you in groups. Breakout rooms is sort of a place where I share what I'm thinking and my ideas and what the question evokes in me and stuff like that. The idea is that we generate sort of a creative conversation between us. So this is what I'm asking you. You're going to be in groups. And this is the question that we want to put in the center is, what's the best story you can recall about your community overcoming a challenge? Try to find one and share it with the people that you are in the breakout room with. Speak a little bit about this story, because with that story, we're going to be walking a little bit about the tools that we are going to be developing. This is an example of sort of a real story that can be developed as a publishing stack that can be developed through the tools that we have. But remember that this is not going to be the story that you're going to be telling. This is the story that we're going to use for now as an example, but then through the process of the hackathon, you're going to find your own story of your own local community. So I just want to sort of highlight that difference. So I'm going to say it again. We're going to send you to breakout rooms. try to have a generative conversation and bring in your experience about what's the best story you can recall about your community overcoming a challenge. Does it make sense? Is there any questions so far? Okay. Lydia.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for that. My question is the challenge that we have to have overcome in our community, does it have to be tailored to anything specifically, or it can be anything at all, whether it's security risks or something like that?
It can be anything, because what we are looking actually is your experience, and then so that you grab that experience and you can work it on through the tooling that we are going to be using afterwards. But it's only an example, so no worries. Abdul.
Okay, thank you very much. I wanted to put my questions in later before, but I think I can ask now. It's a very important thing during the process of hackathon for venture when I found my solution and perhaps the problem statement, and it might not necessarily require integrating blockchain in the early stage. But I stand a chance to participate as well, and I won't be judged because I didn't integrate Cardano blockchain. And probably it's a standard project, but because of that, I won't be qualified to win prizes or move to the next stage. I want to be sure of that. Thank you.
That's a very good question. And I'm wondering, Tabs, because I'm seeing your face, you're nodding. Do you want to answer to that, or should we take that till later?
I'm nodding because I just really like that has come up as a question. To form a project that's not integrating Cardano is sort of it's interesting, and I think we should take it later. So I've taken note, and we can touch on it at the end.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to send everyone into breakout rooms in groups of 5. And it's only going to be 10 minutes to make the most use of those 10 minutes, because we're going to be coming back and going to the publishing stack, right? So again, the question is, what's the best story you recall from your community overcoming a challenge? Okay. See you in 10 minutes. And stop pause the recording for a little bit. Welcome back. People will be coming very shortly. Hi, Noah. The floor is yours, Tabs. I think everyone is here. 52 people.
We'd love to hear some reflections, but we're gonna move straight on. So if there's anything that you would like to share with everyone, please just take a note and we might try and find time at the end. So, the publishing stack. Delphi set a really wonderful context for this. She touched on so many points about continual learning, observation, seeing potential, and story. And really, that's where we need to start with when talking about the publishing stack as well. What this is about is for you to be able to make your story visible of the work that's happening on the ground, and specifically that kind of work that we're looking for, that kind of work that we're trying to encourage through this program is to work on systems, the systems of your local place. And when working with systems, it's systemic, as the name suggests, and it requires you to adopt many different perspectives, and that can often make things feel very complex. And for people that would like to learn about your work that's happening on the ground as well, it's difficult to communicate that. And that's what the publishing stack is addressing. It's trying to support you in being able to communicate the work of working on systems. So what is it? It's basically a set of applications that address different domains of that work. Some relate with making decisions together. Some relate with archiving material and sharing resources. But overall, they're there to try and create a kind of infrastructure for you to share the narrative of that work, share the narrative of your place. So we are going to sort of keep coming back to this as we go. There's many different directions you can find for yourself to develop on this. Probably for the duration of this program, it might be the case that you start with one chunk of it, one aspect, and that's what starts to feel really tangible. And then later on, you can start to extend your engagement with this. But for now, we're starting with the docs. And that's what we're going to show today in our demo, which is coming up. But before I get on to the apps themselves and the demo, I just want to come back to what Delphi was saying at the start and relate this to the learning arcs and the learning process. As Delphi was saying, this is about seeing your places anew, seeing them with new perspective, a new mode of observation. And what that will mean is that you can start to see the potential for your place to evolve. At the end of the enrollment phase, we're aiming to start to really identify problem statements that you want to work on. But actually a powerful reframe of that is to turn that around and call them potential statements. And that might feel a little bit abstract at first, but yeah, hopefully through the course of this program, that can feel a lot more tangible. And so the publishing stack, like I said, is made up of several apps. And these apps are just examples. They're just the early stages that we've developed with Prisma to try and offer an example of how you can approach systems change work in a way that is complemented by software. So all of these, because we're coming from a background in regenerative design and working in terms of living systems, systems that are alive, systems that have vitality, all of these apps are designed in a way to support a continuous process, continuous learning, and continuous development. So an example of this is in the Enacting app, there's a way that you can add a meeting agenda. And the idea isn't to build up a long list of all of the meeting agendas that you did and show how many meetings were run. But the purpose of it is to actually support you in that process of engaging more fully in a meeting. It's by the act of creating the agenda and bringing that contribution into your social dynamic that the meeting itself becomes more alive. And by doing that routine, sort of repeatedly, you can start to work with that very dynamically. Sometimes you'll be working on bringing in a meeting agenda. Other times there's other little structures of information that you can bring in. But all in all, it's coming back to this idea of participation. How do we actively participate in a self-organizing system? The other angle on this is the angle of data. It's the data that these apps generate that make your work visible. And the end result of continuously publishing your work is to have a kind of showcase, something that can be seen from multiple different angles to see it as one whole system. And for that, you require to be able to generate a perspective into that system. And that's, again, why there's multiple apps to kind of show these different modes of participating. This might all feel a little abstract, but it will become more tangible as we go. The last thing that I want to say is that all of this has been structured to be highly customizable, highly extensible, and composable, so that you can integrate very easily your own projects, your own apps. And a good example, again, is the docs. That's why we're starting with the docs as the first app that we're going to deploy, and we're going to show you how that goes today. The docs you can think of as like a digital commons. Has anyone heard of a digital commons? Or you might have heard of it as a digital garden or a digital archive. They're all pointing towards a similar kind of thing, which is how do we keep record of what actually went on? For the people interested in kind of crypto systems, how do we keep an account of what went on? The docs is the one we're starting with because it's most accessible. And the example I wanted to give is if you build a little app where you're generating a certain kind of data, maybe it's a measurement, or maybe it's just, it can be that you all write a certain contribution at a certain point in time, and you keep doing that regularly. You can take that data and present it in the docs. Maybe it's an embed. Maybe you make your own custom component to create a visualization of the data with like a chart or something. And you can then write into the docs to give more context of what that data means or what that app means. And in that way, you can kind of make connections between the work happening on the ground, what it means, and the data that's generated in the process. So I am going to hand over to Carlos, who's going to give a start on the demo. And this is a demo of a deployment of the docs. And what I want you to remember at this stage is that we're starting with the docs, but we can deploy more apps to address different domains of participation. we are ourselves creating complex systems as we go through this process. So it's continually evolving. There's many perspectives, and we can keep extending it all together. So yeah, without further ado, let's head over to Carlos for a demo of what that really looks like.
Tabs, before Carlos comes in, maybe I was thinking, and maybe it's not a very good idea, and you can tell me. But what if we open to questions of everything you just said? Because it was a lot of information, and I'm wondering what's the sort of how it's reaching everyone.
Yeah.
So does anyone have a question or a clarification or a suggestion or anything that comes up for you right now after what Tabs presented?
I think that's a great idea, by the way. Any questions at all?
Lydia has one.
Lydia, hi.
Hi. So for very genuine context, I don't fully grasp what like is being spoken about. Maybe it's like a personal research thing. Maybe I need to think about or like research about prison more. But I know that I heard something about there being like a digital documentation place, sort of like a digital vault, right? That was like for the most part what I was able to like properly understand, but like I don't have like genuine context of what exactly we're like talking about here and like why we're like no, I'm saying I know it's relevant, but like I don't know exactly why we're talking about it. So if you could put like more context to that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the question. And I see
Can
Mercy's hand raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very quickly, if I can jump in. And by the way, thanks, Delphi, for the opportunity for questions. Those that don't have any questions, so the assumption is that you sort of get it. So in that case, can anybody sort of reflect back what they're hearing, and then Tabs and or Delphi can clarify if that is what we're talking about. Abdul, I think you should go because you are very happy this morning. Do you want to reflect back what you've, well, it's morning for me, but I think it's probably a little later. Hi, Simon. Simon is in the chat. Does anybody want to do that? Like reflect back in very few sentences, high level summary, what you are hearing. But yeah, I'll give it back to Tabs in case he wants to answer the last question.
I'm gonna pause because I think that was a great suggestion from Mercy. So if anyone would like to have a take on what resonated with them, and it's absolutely okay if this did feel very abstract. I get that feedback a lot. Abdul or Abdul Rahman.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mercy, for calling me. I don't want to speak before, actually, because I'm much really involved in this. I can't say I grasp fully what Tabs was saying, but from me looking on this slide, what I can get from the whole conversation is that as we are during the process of this hackathon, like Prisma themselves, we undergo a lot of series of building some applications to facilitate effective delivery of the hackathon participants' contributions. Just like from what I can see from this direction arrow, like observation, we observe what is going on in the participation, like the event itself. Okay, what can we change? What can we add? as far as project that people are bringing is concerned, or perhaps the behavioral pattern. I don't know, to be honest. So, and we look into the potential of activities that people are putting in or their project idea that are bringing on board and see how we can define tools or perhaps anything necessary at all to ensure effective delivery of this kind of ideas that are coming from different perspectives, different regions and all. So that is what I can get from this. I don't know if that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It resonates a lot. There was a lot of points there that you were connecting across, and I think that's great. Mercy.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you to Abdul for trying. Yeah, I think that's a very relevant, sort of alignment. And I think Simon has a great suggestion in the chat as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Simon's question was where I was going to start as well. This risks going a bit off on a tangent, and we'll have to adapt to the timing, but I'll try and keep it short. Where this is coming from is it's a response to offer an alternative to the conventional approach to project development, and where oftentimes a lot of assumptions can be made about something, about what a place is, who it is, how it works, and that takes form in solutions coming in from external, from abroad, from foreign places. And to disrupt that, it takes a lot of work to actually unlearn that whole paradigm, unlearn that whole worldview. And as part of that, it requires everyone to really re-engage themselves in learning about their own realities and how to play an active role in a given place, being able to evolve in a way that actually makes sense to it and is aligned with its own values. So it's a big part of this as well is to be able to express the character of a place, for its own personality to be apprehendable without sort of needing to conform and fit into other people's categories and other people's ways of seeing. So this tooling is kind of hard to grasp because it's like trying to offer a lot that's very complex, but also be as undefined as possible to leave enough space for you to be able to customize it as much as you can. That's why it sounds like I'm saying a lot without really saying anything at all. It literally is like that. The tooling is to create the conditions for something to emerge from this place. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of this work comes from also influences in the DAO space, and a lot of influences from governance and sort of collective decision making, collective sense making, and these are incredibly complex processes, and they touch on so many different domains of organizing. Like you might call it conventionally project management, or you might call it marketing, but really at the core of it is organizing information. And so that's why it's been structured in these layers of abstraction, where at the very top you can have kind of storytelling, and at the very bottom you can have literal peer-to-peer transactions, but we're not really touching on that point yet. So it's quite hard to get down to that depth without sort of losing all of the other layers as well. All right, let me pause there, and I think that was a great question. Sandra.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for elaborating. I just want to ask a question just to affirm what my mind is heading to. So, if I get you right, the program would, at the end of it, have projects that align with specific goals that are grassroots, that solve grassroots problems. So I'm saying primary data collection, secondary data reviews, aligning it to possibly like current policies, like you touched on governance, healthcare, say also SDG goals. So things of that sort is where I'm thinking the ideas would sprout from. And through that, we're able to marry that with the blockchain and the efficiencies of that technology. Is that it?
Yes, the efficiencies and also the opportunities for alternative funding models. To get straight to the point, a lot of this is also about data-backed stories, because once you can show the data and it's verifiable, then it's generating a lot of trust and confidence in potential funders. And so that's why it's also really exciting to have all of this leading up to the summit, where you'll be showcasing and presenting your work, because you'll be literally trying to engage funders. And if you have a whole context of your project behind you to point and reference things to, and for them to see it's actually a whole system that you're working on, then I'm hoping that we can really see this sort of the value can be made material. Mercy.
Yeah, so for those of us that haven't seen Simon's response as well in the chat, it's a great phrasing. So just have a look. And I just want to add on to Sandra what you said. Absolutely, that is what sort of we are trying to aim towards. But I want us to look a little bit further, because, like we have all these boxes, like SDGs, governance, DAOs, and so on and so forth. And sometimes it can be very limiting, because in Africa, who knows? Maybe this is the opportunity to create another box, right? So that is why right from the start of this hackathon, we did not predetermine tracks. We are going to make this as grassroots as possible. Very well said when you mentioned that. And out of that, we are going to figure out, okay, so this one goes into the SDG box, and that one goes to the governance box, and that one goes into the DAO box. Oh, but look at this, this opportunity statement or this problem statement. There is absolutely no box for it. So then we create an African original box, if you get what I mean. So I know that we are short on time, so I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Yeah, Zanes, go for it, from Nigeria.
Thank you, Tabs. I don't really have a question. I'm just like kind of looking forward to Carlos' demo, so that can truly affirm my perspective as to what we have going on here. You already said it's going to be, or what you're presenting, or this idea you're presenting, to me it seems unconventional. So it is just normal for it to be ambiguous to everyone, and the friction we're having, like with different perspectives, just kind of helps us broaden our horizons. So yeah, I would like to see what Carlos has to present, so we can all like contain everything.
Cool. Okay. In that case, thank you for all of the questions, and let's proceed. All right. So we're going to have to go a little bit faster to catch up with time, but not too fast. So I'll hand over to Carlos, and you can share screen and go ahead with the demo.
Okay, everyone. So Really quickly, nice to meet you. First time talking to everyone here. I'm part of the Prisma team as a developer working side by side with Tabs to really bring these tools to you. And it's a continuous development process. So you'll see in the demo. I'll begin by sharing my screen. And so I'm sure, can you see my screen correctly, right? So the link that was in our presentation is propagate Prisma events. So this will be like the initial point where you will be able to obtain the applications that we will be developing. And in the future, as more applications address new domains, they will be available in the app. So this is, you could say, more like a wizard, a step by step for you to really obtain these apps. So for example, we can begin with a test hub, in this case, using testing data, but this will all be centered towards the Cardano Africa Tech Summit. So once we proceed, the first step is to connect your GitHub account. This is where all the projects, all the code live in, and the first things you should do is connect your GitHub. I want to ask if the small window is visible in the presentation. Yes. So here you will see your account and which organizations you want to grant access of our application so that we can provide you the apps. After that, you click authorize. This will grant us that access that we're talking, and here you will be able to see the different organizations that you grant us access. In this case, I have a test one ready for the effects of the demo. We'll continue. And the next step is really important because we're using for hosting our applications Vercel. It's a really good hosting service, especially with the software stack that we have. We won't go into details right now into it, but let's begin. So first thing is you need to connect your Vercel account to our application. So this will add the integration. Here is my account, and it will grant access to your Vercel team so that we can instantly deploy the application. Second thing is you have to install the GitHub plugin for Vercel so that they can, connect GitHub and connect Vercel so that they know each other. That's the next step. Here you can see it, install Vercel, granted access to to all repositories, install, and this will take you to your Vercel. After that, you can close the window. And as you can see, we have Vercel connected, we have GitHub connected, and we have the plugin ready. This will provide the information we need to do all the deployments. We'll go to the fourth step now, which is our apps. As you can see, we put some in coming soon. They already have an initial version, but we want to polish them a little bit more before we give them to you. The docs will be the first one. All this documentation, background information that is part of the learning process. And especially in software projects, documentation is top priority. So we want to provide you a tool that really facilitates that. Select your apps. Eventually, there are going to be more that address different domains. In this view, we simply select the app and click continue. And we can see here a preview of all the information. And we can click deploy. Deploy will do two things. We'll first fork our code to your organization. And second, it will deploy it to your Vercel. So we'll go with that, forking the repository. It's here loading. Okay, the fork is ready. and now it's doing the deployment. It takes a while, and in fact, after it deploys, we might have to wait like 2 minutes approximately, but after that, you're good to go. Docs is ready, deploy it, and it'll give you a preview URL. But first, let me show you that it's working. First thing, let's check our GitHub. So this is the GitHub organization that I created for the demo. And in the repositories, you can see that the docs is here. Before it said 3 repositories and now 4. So here we have the docs up and fork it to your own repository of the organization. Next, we can go to our Vercel. And in Vercel, you'll see that now we have a docs project created. And if we go inside, in deployments, look, our GitHub project is now being deployed. We need like a minute more so that we can preview it. So let's wait 1 minute. When it's done, you're gonna see the live link and everything in this view. So let's give it a minute.
I'll just add whilst we're waiting
Go ahead.
that Vercel is kind of like an interim step. Really, we want you to self-host your own apps. I think that's way more radical, and that's why we've set up these automations to deploy it to your own Vercel instance rather than us hosting it for you, because we want the data to be hosted and managed in as close to the places where it's actually built as possible. Over time, we're going to try to have that running on like a hub's own infrastructure, maybe even deploying a little server as part of the event setup or something cool like that. As for the apps, think of this as like a marketplace. Right now, this is just the very early beginning stages, but really this is about supporting an economy of apps that are oriented to participating in your own hub network. So I just wanted to give that extra context.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so as we can see, our app is deployed. Let's give it a go. Authenticating, and boom, you have the app up and running in production in your own Vercel account. Like Tab said, eventually is that you can run it bare metal on your own server, but for initial purposes, we can have this automation process. So as we develop more apps, you will be able to simply run our wizard here and obtain them. Do you want to add something else regarding the docs?
Yeah, last thing to add from my side is obviously this is the Prisma docs right now. We need to still add a little automation step to kind of clean the docs and maybe have them seeded with some pages that act as like a seed in the docs. But from here on, it's really for you to customize and make into your own. We've gone for a very minimal theme, but you can add as much color and personality as you like.
Yeah, last thing is like we can close this window, go back to the apps. So just to give a little bit more, let's say, in the upcoming days, we'll be like making them available in the next meetings also, and you'll be able to test them out and personalize them, and we'll give a little bit more technical tutorial, you could say, on them. So that's it for this demo of the propagate tool. And I think I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. That was awesome. So we can now pause for clarification questions, or we could go into breakout rooms and discuss and have a kind of discussion in there. Seeing the time, we have about 22 minutes left. So we're going to have to be adaptive. I'm going to hand over to my wonderful co-facilitator, Delphi, for her thoughts on how best to proceed.
I think we should open a little bit for questions now, and I think we have enough time for a small breakout room at the very end so that we can sort of unleash people into sort of exploring all of this. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So this is a learning space. It's open to anyone that wants to ask any question about what just Carlos explained or what Tab said at the beginning or me at the very, very introductive moment. Sandra, wonderful. Go on.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask if we would have access to create our Prisma account now and start to populate the docs or not. Yeah.
Yeah, the cool thing is you don't really need a Prisma account. This is going to be deployed to your own hub's infrastructure, and they will help you in managing that. And the next steps would be to work with them to gain access to those repositories and then kind of clone it onto your own machine and start making changes from there. Like Carlos said, we've got a few more steps to finish over the coming days to automate some of the setup for your own local machine, things like installing the client app, which helps with some editing markdown files basically to just make it even more accessible. Also basic things like installing Node and Git. Yeah, hope that answered your question.
Carla, I love that Carla has her camera on. I just want to say that. Thank you. Are you there? I think she got stuck now. Oh, is there any other question? Maybe Carla will jump in when she comes back. Doesn't look like it. Hey, that's interesting. Carlos, do you want to say something? I can see that you're unmuting.
I just wanted to say that I'm open to help anyone if you have questions or if you're using our apps Propagate, which is already live, and you have any technical issues, feel free to reach me out. I am in the telegrams and I'm happy to help. So I'm here also to provide as much technical support as possible.
Thank you, Carlos. Awesome. Carla, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, my internet went out for a while. All right, so thank you so much for this call. It's been enlightening. So I have a question as regards the documentation. So the documentation that we submit, do they need to only be technical documents? Could they also be documentation as regards our research on the problem and on defining the problem and documentation as regards our approach to solving that problem? Does it only need to be technical documentation? That's my question.
I would say yes, but Tabs, please answer.
It doesn't need to be only technical documentation. Yeah, it's meant to be layering more context around your work. So there'll be a part of it which is technical documentation, but a lot of it is also about collecting information from your kind of field excursions and also the storytelling as a whole for why it's meaningful for you and the place. So think of it as, I mean, the docs you can think of as trying to communicate a whole system.
Can I add something? It's encourage, because if this is the way that you're showcasing your project, then it's going to be easier and more likely that people really get into passionately and emotionally into your own understanding of what has happened, how you develop everything, and so on and so forth. And usually that's what gives you the sort of a little bit of the extra mile to win things. I can say that? I don't know, maybe my coworkers are going to be like that. But yeah, that's what I think. It helps. Yeah.
Right.
Thank
you. Thank you.
So collaborate towards success. Yeah.
I think Abdul Rahman had his hand up, but I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have any question anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to ask any question again because I saw Simon message on the chat, and I think if it is true, I think I understand what I want to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul. Should we go to breakout rooms then? Leroy, let's have this question.
Thank you. I'm Nero from Liberia. So my question has to do with the best mind will be like share via email in terms of collaboration, because I'm actually a bit new for today's meeting, although I've been following through the chat room, but I'm a bit new, so I would like more detail on it.
My internet might be a bit stable. Were you asking for a kind of summary of what's been covered so far, Leroy?
I'm also asking for a summary as well, but then my question has to do with the Prisma collaboration I will show using GitHub and the rest. Will it be shared with the team?
Yes, this whole recording is being recorded and will be shared on the docs. I actually wanted to share what that looks like to seek out those extra resources after the call. I hope you're all familiar with this site by now. I've just dropped it in the chat, docs.wada.org. This is kind of like the knowledge base for this whole hackathon program leading up to CATS. And in here on the side, you can see enrollment. And you can navigate to calls and see here enrollment 1, which was last week's call. And there's the call recording, as well as resources to everything we mentioned, responses to all of the questions asked, and things like that. We'll do the same again for this call, so it will definitely be there. Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for the question. If there's no more questions, let's proceed. So we're going to try and get into breakout rooms as fast as possible. I just want to share some things to get some creative juices flowing. This image is helpful because it gives the big picture, basically. It shows the potential of what we can live into together over the course of the program, a kind of hub network seen from above. And I made this slide very quickly today just to show an idea of what could be kind of like the front face for these extended audiences to engage in learning about your work. As we've been saying, we have multiple apps that we have been preparing to deploy, and hopefully in time there will be many more. And we want to deploy these to each hub's own instance. And all of these apps serve up various data, various material to use in that showcasing of your work. So I just wanted to kind of connect those to make it very tangible. And then a reminder of this image that we shared last week of the whole organizational stack that we're now part of, and this idea of nested systems and of kind of projecting the work from the ground up into the summit and beyond. So with those kind of images in mind, the question for this breakout room is, what can you start publishing now? What can you start to communicate about what's really alive in your communities, in your places? What's meaningful to you? What are you experiencing in this organizing process?
Okay, so I have breakout rooms, tabs, and I'm gonna send them for 7 minutes. Is that okay? So we can come back and close all together.
Yes, perfect.
Good. See you in a few minutes. So everyone has received a join breakout room sort of window. You need to tap on that to get to any breakout rooms if you're there. And if you haven't received one, let me know and I can send you to one of them. Tabs, are you there? Can you pick them up? Can you weave them in, let's say?
Yeah.
Good. Some people are here, they just came back, and then we have a bit of more people coming in a few seconds.
Welcome back, everyone. So the next steps from here are really to work with your hubs once we've deployed Delphi.
Tabs, wait a second because we have 19 people in this room.
My bad.
They might be joining in, so.
Okay. My apologies.
No, don't worry. It's just I don't want you to do it again.
It's quite short.
Okay.
But yeah, I hope everyone had a good breakout room. I would be really interested to hear anything that was coming up for people. And from our side, or from my side at least, I'm happy to stay for a little longer if people would like to and would like to share. I can leave the recording running, so anyone that needs to jump after can catch up. This is basically the end of the agenda at this point. Is everyone back from the breakout rooms now? Should I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very, very small change of slides. That's the only content left. Now is the invitation to put your hub on the map and explore what that means for you. And yeah, I know there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of ambiguity still. This is very normal. This happens at the early stages of these processes. And we're here for you in service to this program to be as available as we can be. And we really encourage you to reach out to us as much as you can do. We want you to get as much from this process as possible. And yeah, we'll be working with hubs a lot more actively now, and we'll be able to assist in making sure that these initial next steps can be completed, like with the demo that we presented today, so that people can really start to engage with what we're offering. And that's really it. A massive thank you to everybody. Yeah, that's the last slide. I look forward to seeing everybody next week. I don't know if Delphi, if there was anything else you wanted to add before we kind of bid everyone farewell and things like that.
Nothing more. I think it was a full-on session, and we look forward to seeing you the next session, which is going to be sort of key to sort of hold all the hackathon together. And I think what might happen is there's going to be a lot of questions coming up for the next session. So what you can do is use the Telegram and just post them there, and let's sort of keep it rolling over there, or bring it in next Thursday. Same time, same place. Yeah, we will be seeing you all next Thursday. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
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 Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Right on time.
Awesome. So yeah, like I said, I'm free to hang around for 15 minutes, and I think there was a lot of sort of engagement, and so it'd be really interesting to hear if anyone would like to discuss anything in particular, particularly on the deployment and anything that came up from the breakout room. We were able to make any connections and things like that. Also, we do a regular studio session as Prisma on Thursday mornings, and that's an open space. Anyone can join, and we can continue the discussions there as well.
There's a question.
The hubs are expected to be from the African continent, generally, yes. You're from Hong Kong, wow, awesome. Do you have a physical space? Are you representing a kind of community center or something? Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear more, actually, if you're comfortable with unmuting and telling us a little bit more about where you're calling in from.
Ops.
Leroy, hello.
Yeah, I do.
Sorry?
Yeah, so I will have to get your Telegram contact so that we can be chatting a bit. At
Sure.
least I can get a few guidance from you too as well.
Yep. My Telegram is, you can find it from the big group which is being shared in there. I'm posting regularly there. I'll put my Telegram here for reference as well. You're also welcome to head over to the Prisma docs, where on our main page you have this custom component here. It's an example of adding custom components. You can do whatever you like. Oh yeah, the reason why you can do that is because this is built on MDX files, not just Markdown files, but MDX files, so you can embed JavaScript. And you can click this scheduling link here and schedule a call with me. So far, no one has been really doing that, and so this hasn't been a problem. If everyone now schedules a call, my calendar is going to fill up, and I might have to reconsider things. But yeah, for now, that's an open invitation, and you can find the same on the docs for the summit here, and there's a few people that have shared their scheduling links as well, especially Carlos, who is for supporting on onboarding into this these apps, this infrastructure. So yeah, we want to make ourselves really available and approachable, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to go to it right now to do it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other people that would really like to bring something forwards?
Yes, hi, Tabs. Can you hear me?
Hi, Yomi. Yes, I can.
Okay. While Carlos was presenting earlier, my network was really bad, so I couldn't really get what he was saying. But I was able to follow up to some extent. Yeah. So the question I want to ask is, um, does it mean that every participant must deploy, sorry, I may not use the right technical words, but um I'm not really technically talented yet. So does it mean that every participant must deploy their research on the platform Carlos showed us, or the technical guys in every team will do that? I don't know if you get the question.
Yeah, I totally get you, and you're using the words I would choose as well. So I totally understand. And it's a great question. No is the answer. The deployment process currently is expected to be done by the hubs. The participants can then basically start using the hubs that the apps that the hubs have deployed, but the participants don't have to go through the deployment process themselves. What's kind of interesting is if that might happen after this program, when you have your own teams and you want to set up all of this infrastructure for your own team as well, for your team to have its own domains and all of these things, that's when propagation might become available at the kind of next level of organizing.
Oh, great. Thank you, Tabs.
You're most welcome. Anyone else?
Okay, hi. Good evening from my end. Lagos, Nigeria. I actually want to clarify, I want to understand from what you said. So the use of the hub is just for the participants to impute their own like finished projects in there, and then you will deploy it from your own end, or the hub. How does it work?
So the hub, I heard kind of two sides of that question. One is touching on what's the role of the hub, what's the purpose of the hub in its region and in this process. And the other one is a kind of more technical angle, which is what are they functionally doing in terms of deployment and showcasing projects. So I'll try and touch on both. The hub has a very unique responsibility, a very unique role in this work, which is being in touch with what is alive in the local communities, what is alive in this place. How does this place as a whole want to evolve? That's really the responsibility for the hub, is to try to see that and try to be a guide to the teams and the work happening on the ground. That's the more social angle. The technical angle is it won't be us that's deploying anything for you. We're trying to kind of encourage self-hosting. So once that deployment process has happened, which is what Carlos demoed, then in theory, the hub will have a running instance of these apps, and they can then start organizing with the teams and with the participants to coordinate how several contributions can be made to those to the knowledge base, to the docs. And so in that way, there will be it's a whole process to work out how best to organize the information, but it will be basically a relationship between you and the docs. You and the hubs, sorry.
Okay, got that.
Cool. Thank you for your question. Anyone else? I'm curious also because this call today was a bit more action oriented, a bit more practical, and yeah, I'm wondering how that felt, what the energy in the room is like. Sam, I'm seeing your audio unmuted. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, first, just want to appreciate you as a great speech. Going on what you're saying, that then I have some issue, but I think we don't like probably maybe we can schedule a time so I can send them to then maybe you can see it and come up with a solution. What's the I have really think then going just was I think this just so maybe just share uh
Sam, I'm really sorry to say that I did not catch a lot of that at all. Could you please type your question in the chat? The one word I heard maybe was schedule, so I don't know if this is helpful, but I'm going to drop my link to schedule a call in the chat.
okay.
I don't know if that was what your question was, but feel free to type it into the chat and I'll make time for it. Anyone else?
Hey Tabs.
Hey Abdul Rahman, how's it going, bro?
It's going good here. Yourself?
I'm doing very good, thank you. Do you have a question?
Yeah, on what Joseph said in the chat, he said, doesn't mean every participant must belong to a hub. So I want to ask a question on that. If you can participate without being in a hub, then how would those that are not part of the hub form teams? How are they going to form their team?
Cool, great. All right. So I'm actually gonna take the opportunity of knowing you to put that question back to you, if that's all right. I know this is putting you on the spot massively, but so Abdul Rahman is actually, he presented in one of the taster calls and he was a participant in the last action learning journey that we ran, which was in Accra. And we were there hacking for a couple of weeks together. So I know his context very well, and the question that I would put back to you, Abdul Rahman, is if you don't have the entity of a hub in your region that's part of this program, and they're not there to offer that support, how could you still participate? How could you still seek out connections with other team members and try to start organizing with people?
This is interesting. First of all, you have to merge with teams that aligns with your goals in terms of this hackathon, problems you want to solve since you're forming a team. But another challenge is, what if what you are trying to solve or it's not in your region, it's somewhere outside your region? Maybe the idea you have or the team, the people you feel like forming teams with or aligns with your idea are in different regions or different country. How does that want to work? That means you have to use the internet to do everything.
Yeah, interesting. So that's a really great question, because how we have been approaching facilitating this is for you to form teams in your local regions. There's a lot of reasons for that, and it's such a foundational principle in how we approach facilitation that it has a lot of consequences on other things, so it's really difficult to change. What the image that came to mind for me was that these apps that we're deploying in this way is to try and create a network that can learn from itself. And because it has these kind of like footprints where it touches the ground in different places, that's a huge opportunity for learning from each other in different places. And so if you find someone that has a common interest in another place, I would really encourage you to develop those relationships for sure, and especially in a way where you're communicating clearly with one another about what is unique in your place, because in that way, you're going to sort of multiply the learnings because you're going to see the common underlying patterns that there are, even when there's different contexts. Yeah, a lot of this work of trying to work on systems is about like trying to introduce capabilities and work with patterns. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to approach that in terms of learning from each other, but still also trying to turn into your local place and learn as much as possible from your local place. In terms of the technical, if there's not a hub, then in theory, there's not a docs either. So we might have to, I'm going to take note of that. We're encouraging hubs to emerge through this process. So that might be the silver lining. I'm not going to say.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not going to say more on this because of time. So yeah, so I'll move on to the next questions. But thank you for that question, and yeah, great to have you in the room with us. Abdul Rahman is also available for you to reach out to him to learn from his previous experience and all of that kind of mentorship that he's willing to provide. Abdul Rahman with his hand raised. Over to you.
Abdurrahman, thank you. Yeah, I think you clarify what I wanted to ask again in your last statement, that you take note of if there is no dog and there is no orb, what are we going to do? And I wanted to add to it. The reason why I asked to make more, to give more context on joining orb is not necessary from the point my own point of view of what I understand to be part of the rules of our playing, to be that you said that there will be more like a deployment infrastructure assigned to all. I don't know if I get that right. And if anybody or participating team is attached to that very org, I want to understand that it will be very seamless for them to deploy their projects and solutions during the participation in the hackathon. And if not, I very aware and I'm sure that there'll be technical people in each and everything that will be participating, and they know their way around to deploy things before now and all might not be a problem. But what benefits does a team attaching themselves to a org gain, and those people that will be participating outside of collaborating with org? So I want to ask that question. Is there any necessary benefit to attaching myself to a org as a team, or not necessarily? Or there's no any kind of a benefit at all? You can participate directly also. Yeah. I wanted to ask that question. Thank you.
That is a good question. I'm trying to envision how this could pan out for the participants that don't have a local hub. In terms of the program content, there's no sort of what's the word, restrictions we're putting in place for people to join and participate in as many calls and have access to as much as possible. The detail that that's not super clear in my thinking yet is the detail of the deployments. So yeah, it feels like the same question that the other Abdul Rahman was asking. And rather than give an answer now that is half formed, I'd rather think about it a little bit more, if that's okay, and get back to you properly on that. Cool, thank you. Zanes.
Yeah, good evening. I hope my question will not seem redundant and it's not seem because it's kind of in line with what you've asked previously. But I just want to like kind of solidify my understanding of how this is supposed to go. So we are going to have participants, then the participants are going to be under a hub. So there's no restrictions to each participant, or because you are in Nigeria, you have to like stay with this particular hub. There is the free will of choosing a certain hub that aligns with your own goal or the story you're trying to like put out there. So now my question is, okay, if that is the actual framework, that means WADA is going to like be interacting with the hubs. Any story, I'll put it as story because those stories are going to be the documents or the documentation that will be published. Then you guys are going to be deploying it by yourself. Because that's why I feel like that's what I'm connecting. So now my question is, firstly, for a hub, is there a number or a threshold for the number of teams that is expected from a hub? Are we saying a hub can bring different ideas or different stories and actually publish it and you guys review it? Is that what we are saying? Is that the framework or it is something else entirely?
Okay. Yeah, interesting question. So I was kind of hearing in how you phrased the question, because you said, is there a certain number of teams or projects that a hub needs to form? and it's more like, if you think about the role of the hub, as I was saying before, of it having that responsibility to hold the vision of how this place can evolve and guide teams, then there's really no requirement or constraint around how many teams it could be working with. And from our side, we're not thinking in terms of how does a hub qualify? It needs to have 3 teams, 4 teams, etc. It's really about if they are stepping up to that responsibility in a way. And there's also and stepping into that role. There's also some key criteria. One of them is that they are a physical space, because being rooted in place is very important. And I'm just wondering, Zanes, are you thinking in terms of sort of forming your own hub through this process, or becoming a hub, maybe reaching out and bringing a hub from your region on board? Yeah, could you just tell me a little bit more about where your question's coming from?
Firstly, my question is just basically me trying to like comprehend the whole framework as to how the hackathon is supposed to like go. And now I'm getting that it goes from participants, and the participants all collude at the hub. Then the hub serves as like call it a placeholder, or like it kind of like elevates or like projects the whole vision of each participant, because different participants with the same vision can form a team, and they'll be under the same hub. Then they'll document their stories and publish it under the hub.
Yeah.
Then you guys can kind of get that. So now, the reason why I'm asking that question, since there is no threshold or limit as to how many teams or the number of stories or documentations that you can provide, meaning you are open to any amount of like stories. Like a team can come with 2 stories. Yeah, I'm interested in this. The stories are going to be as a function of the problems they see in their society and the solutions that they come up for those problems. As an individual, I can have multiple like solutions to different problems. So you're saying if I have a team that are willing to provide solutions to this, and they can document it. So a team in one hub can have 3 different documentations. And let's say there are like 3 teams there in that hub. You have all like 9 documentations. Like, I mean, you get like,
yeah.
I feel like the threshold is kind of like conventional, purposefully conventional. Like it's a necessary. I'm not imposing. It goes out of the norm. That's it. I'm not thinking of setting up a hub, because that goes a long way. I'd rather just find a hub in my environment that is well established and more experienced, because it is better to like move with people that have experience and all of that. So I just want to understand the framework.
Yeah.
Just want to make it make sense.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you have a fairly thorough understanding of it. I'd like to make sure we move on to Alfred. The last thing I'll just say, as a quick reflection to what you said, Zanes, is that teams will form around a purpose, and how they take shape exactly will kind of emerge from that. And all of those dynamics of how many numbers and things will sort of work themselves out, because I'm sure we all know here it's quite hard to actually sustain investing all of your energy into a mission. So that will quite naturally work itself out, I think. Alfred.
Yeah, thank you, Tabs. Yeah, so at first, the individual participation, it went from a straight answer. It's very easy to it's been complex now, due to the questions people are asking and your answer to them. So, but let me untangle this now. Let me just break it simple for my own understanding. So at first, I, I was not interested, due to I was, what I was previous reason I joined. So I was like, okay, you have to join an hub. And where I am currently, there is no any hub close to me. So, and I don't want to go through the process of establishing a hub. I don't have that time. Like, I don't go to the stress of doing that. So I was like, okay, I'll just stay in sideline and observe. But when someone was in the chat and he said individual can participate, I was like, oh, well, I'll go back to the website and research about that. Maybe I'll get info on how individuals participate. But now, from the questions people are asking and your answer today, it seems like the Hackathon now provide framework processes for hub participation. So now the question I want to ask is simple. Are there restrictions to individual participation? And if there are no restrictions, the current process is only, current process, the understanding of current process supports ops, you know. So in this case, if individual participation are not restricted, would processes be provided for individual participation? So that's my two question. Are there restrictions on individual participation? And if there are no restrictions, will processes for individual participation be provided? Will a doc be created for that and how individual, could go about participating? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the question. And thank you for waiting as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting perspective. In some ways, hubs and participants in this framework are inseparable. And what was coming to mind as you were asking that question is that it kind of relates with this idea of holding a whole system and working on a whole system. What the hubs can do is provide support in being able to connect with that in your region. So taking Abdul Rahman as an example, he's working on the system of urban flooding and trying to address that with a waste management system. If he, as an individual, were to try and start on that line of work and go straight from the level of him as an individual to working on that whole system, it would be a lot for one person to hold. And that might be quite a barrier to keeping going with that. And so that's why we're approaching it in this way, because we're trying to work on whole systems. I'm trying to think of what that could really look like for your journey as an individual participant. I
Okay,
would like
sorry.
to.
Can I come in here? So
Yeah,
when
please.
I mean individual participant, I don't mean only me as a single person. I can come up with a team. I have access to,
Cool.
I can come up with a team of 5, 7 working on the project. Not even when I mean individual participants, I don't mean me myself singularly working on the project. I just mean that because my understanding of the orb is like, okay, orb is a complete network of different teams, different individual, maybe up to 40, up to like. So I mean that, okay, me myself coming as a team, coming with a group of those 5 or 6 people, and we can work on a full whole idea from the grassroots to developing it all. That's what I mean by individual participants.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's where I was trying to think of. Yeah, I was basically asking that question. What I actually think will happen if you're a team working very actively in a region. Has he dropped off? Looks like he's dropped off. Okay.
I'm here.
Oh no, you're there. Okay, I didn't see your I didn't see your picture for a second. So what I actually think would happen if you're a very active team in a region is, and especially engaging in this program, is you'll probably start to see parallels between how you're working and your activity and the role of a hub. If you're the only group organizing there, then you very much are kind of like starting to hold that sense for what's needed in this place. And so probably over time, you might start to warm up to that idea to stepping into that role. The need for a physical space is kind of like, probably you could address that later down the line by reaching out to an existing hub and working with them. It's really about finding these alignments in nested systems. That's why, I mean, even now as I'm talking, I've got this image on my second monitor of this one, which I shared earlier, because it's really all about that.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. In addition to what Tab said, I feel like the whole purpose of this coming under a hub is when you're under a hub, the hub has like a purpose or a general problem that they intend to kind of solve. So regardless of the solution that you're coming up as a different thing, if the overall problem is all the same, you just be coming up with different problems, different approach to like solve the same problem. So now, once you have a hub, the hub covers a region. It's kind of like how they minimizes the effort of like providing solutions. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm making sense. So like the hub is kind of like a kind of more structured way to like go about it. The going as an individual team kind of be redundant because you have a situation whereby a lot of people are providing maybe the same solution or different solutions to the same single problem, which they could have just come together as a hub with the purpose of solving that same problem and gotten a better idea of approach to solve the problem. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, more or less. The hub integration is a very important role of the hub. It is the role of the hub. I'm conscious of time and numbers of hands raised, so I'm gonna move on to Abdul Rahman.
All right, Tal, thank you very much. Let me come straight. I understand the framework. Please confirm if you can from me. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I think the more we want to make it more simplify, it's becoming more complex. What I understand about the orb is that orb is allowed to have teams, different teams that are formed, not necessarily have to work on a defined problem statement by orb. That is what I understand before now. Each respective team, we have to come together as collective individual in that very specific community. Then we walk around, look into our community, society, look from different perspectives, and see what is the challenges people are facing in the local environment. Then we come together, we probably submit that, and overall, we define a problem statement or tracks that can serve as the overall approach for the entire program. Now, orb is not limited to a certain number. I think that was answered earlier before now on some previous meetings. But then there is this concern of limited resources when it comes to physical organization of this event. And from what let me say from my own idea of Oblead, what we are trying to look into as far as Nigeria case is concerned, we understand that there are a lot of people that actually sign up, and we recognize some are very far from legal states. They still want to participate. Now, what do we do? So what we are thinking on our own to be a solution to that was that we can allow a more like an hybrid approach. Hybrid in the sense that, and the reason why we are allowing this hybrid, it was actually because of what I think Mercy or Megan said to be a kind of enticing benefit for people that join up. Okay, if you don't want to join up, you can participate in the global pool. There will be prizes that people win and all of that. But if you are participating from, or you connect your team with any local org, you have the privilege to actually win the prize from the local activities. And at the same time, if you qualify to be part of the top 5 of the overall selections, you still win prizes there. For me, as a team, I would take that very advantage to join it up and try if venture I can win on 2 different occasions. Yeah, that's like one benefit. Another benefit is that now we don't want to restrict people, but then we are concerned about resources to host physical people. Like imagine we have about 200 teams that is coming from Nigeria. We can't make that very possible to be under the same single org. So what can we do if you don't have more than just one? We can allow hybrid. Okay, you are participating from online. We allow you to demo your solutions online, and while you are connected to the org, and at the same time, you are participating on the global pool at the same time. So I think that is what I want to give as a feedback, or perhaps the way we can make it more seamless for people to participate, whether you have a physical org connected to you or not. So there should be chances for that to allow people in the same country or region to probably associate themselves to it, or just to stand the chance of that benefit. Or if they don't want, yeah, it's fine. I want to say that. Thank you.
Yes, love that. Thank you. And that was such a wonderful delivery as well. So yeah, I think that was more of a contribution rather than a question. So thanks very much for that. And promise. Please feel free.
Okay, so thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. So my question is simple, and I have like 2, but it's more of like one question. It's like an A and B. So the first one is I want you to be specifically tell me what should a hub be providing. I know you said about the like a guidance to the teams, but there is something that you have talked like regarding the deployment part. That's what I want to hear, and also where should the stories be published. That's the one I have.
Cool, thank you. So the hub is, in terms of our program, the hub is provided with a small budget to be able to host a physical hackathon. These hubs have now already registered. There was a deadline for that application. So we won't be considering any more hubs that register newly for that particular allocation of budget. So that's my most direct response on that question. And in terms of where will the stories be published, they will be published on the docs. And then from the docs, we can make them available in an interface like this, which can go on. It's not decided yet which link they will go on, but there's already an app more or less for that. It's this link in the corner. I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but this app shows the registration data. We've had 490 people complete the enrollment forms, which I think is amazing. And this is just some very, very high level preliminary data, but you can imagine we could map each hub out onto here and click it to start the whole engagement with the stories that that hub is publishing.
Okay, great. So can you share that link here to the chat box?
Yes, all of these links will be shared after the call as well. Okay, I will take one more question and then it's going to have to be the end of the call. Ibini. Peace. They've been waiting a while, so maybe they went to make a cup of tea. Okay. If there's no further questions, connection issues. Okay, let's give it a few minutes, maybe they will rejoin. Ibini.
Thanks so much for your patience. I've been to our questions. I mean, this is kind of like, this is very nice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the appreciation. Ibini has rejoined. If you're able to, yeah, go for it. I hope I'm
Okay.
pronouncing your name right.
Yes, you actually did compared to some negotiations.
Good.
Okay. So my question is it's just simple actually. Part of the email I received, like invitation to join this call, there were two options to either be a hub leader or a participant. Well, I'm not really that vast into participating. So I actually wanted to know how to be a hub leader.
Awesome. Okay, to be a hub lead from this point, at the stage we're at in the process, given that there's no further financial support available to hubs, you would probably need to look out for when the hub registration form reopens, because it's closed at the moment whilst we're evaluating hubs. And then register there. And then if you can sort of prove that you're able to, that you have some of those minimum viable criteria for being a hub, then we can start to work with you on setting up everything else that we're setting up for all of the hubs. So yeah, there's, like I said, there's no limitations that we're putting in on how much hubs can participate in this. The main kind of filter that happened, why we had to select a finite number of hubs, was because we had a finite budget that we could provide to support them in hosting an in-person hackathon. But from our side, in terms of doing the calls and the training program and even setting up the infrastructure, the deployment, like Carlos demoed, there's no restrictions on that really. Yeah, I hope that answered your question. Where are you based?
Okay. Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, cool. There's lots of people there. Do you have a physical space where you could host people?
Okay. Um, I'm actually with a hub, like a fiscal hub. It's in a university. So I could actually speak to them about this whole program coming up and how it's going, the process and everything. And then maybe we can start from there.
Awesome. I suspected you might be. And yes, I would love you to do that.
Oh,
That sounds
okay.
awesome.
Okay.
There's a few other hubs in Nigeria as well. So, yeah, please join the group chat for the whole hackathon process, because then you can reach out to them and maybe they can support in things as well. I'm sharing the link in the chat now,
Okay.
but just for reference for everyone, these links
Okay.
are available in the navigation bar of basically every website. The main page for the summit itself, as well as the docs. So that was the link there, this little Telegram plane. And then if I go to the docs, it's here as well in the same nav bar at the top. If you click that Telegram plane, then it should open up
Okay.
this same group chat. Okay.
Okay. Open it. All right. Noted. I'm doing that
Awesome.
now.
Wonderful. Okay, then thank you very much, everyone. And this has been a great call, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Tabs.
much.